Hello and welcome to the 4PL Play4Fame game here, and I think we're just jumping into Unrestricted EU versus MTW, and today I'm going to be joined by Broken Shard.
Hey, what's up?
May know him from the team Jews Gone Wild, I think.
Actually, we've been signed by Absolute Legends now. We're Absolute Legends Omega.
Alright, well, lovely. But yeah, so right now we've got three bands thus far, which is Alistar, Ezreal, Diana, and then a Karthus band. Yeah. So Alistar is this really strong jungler. He can gank more or less with impunity, from level 2. I mean, he's just does a lot of damage, has a lot of crowd control, and he gets his presence really early. Very hard to deal with. Also, very good support. Ezreal is very strong AD carry at the moment. You know, he has a strong mid-game presence and a good laning phase as well, and obviously doesn't really scale off towards the end game. Diana, Karthus, Orianna, very strong mids. They have kind of different roles. Diana is more of an assassin. Karthus has a kind of global presence, and Orianna transitions into being more of a support as the game goes on. Do you have any particular thoughts on the
Not really surprised with the bans.
Yeah, knocking out.
Just gonna cut you off really quickly there. It's just the bans don't really surprise me, except for one particular ban. It's the Ezreal and the Orianna ban. From what I know, Scotwall plays a lot of Ezreal, and I'm not really sure who plays a good much Orianna. I know Hu is more well known for Arise than Orianna. But what does surprise me a little bit is the Malphite was left open, and they were able to pick him pretty much freely. Malphite is considered one of the OP champions now, and wouldn't you agree that it's a bit surprising that he's been left open just like that?
Well, I guess they could figure that they can deal with him. I mean, if you construct your team in such a way that it's not too heavily reliant on AD, and that you have a top laner who can really deal with him well, like Vlad, for instance. If you have a laner who can, shut Malphite down if it comes to it, and you're not too worried about his, jungling and late game, then, you can deal with it. If you have something you specifically want to ban out,
you can put your sunglasses on and just deal with it.
Deal with it.
Yeah, but actually Vlad doesn't exactly win versus the Malphite lane. Malphite has the burst to completely kill Vlad if he gets below 60% HP. I was thinking maybe they would pick a Rumble once they figure out where exactly he's going, because right now they're in a really good spot. They can send Vlad both top and mid, so now they can go ahead and freely pick a jungler and support, leaving the top/mid pick for last. Once they figure out where Malphite is going, is he going to be a top lane, is he going to be a jungler, they can start picking things. I know that, I think it's Blaulino, who plays top lane, plays Rumble quite a bit. So it puts them in a really good position. I think that the Vlad pick was smart, because it's versatile and it's not easily counterable when you really don't know where it's going.
Yeah, I mean, Vlad is really good. He has great synergy with an awful lot of different compositions. He's particularly good when you have this kind of AoE thing going on, which would synergize well with the Rumble pick if they go for it. But yeah, support and jungler, like you said. Maybe Skarner? Yeah, Skarner isn't an unusual pick. He's very strong so long as he gets off the ground in the first place, pretty much.
Yeah, he can snowball really well out of most, unlike most other junglers. I'm not saying that most junglers actually do not snowball very well if they get kills, but Skarner, on one hand, if he gets a lot of kills, it means he can get an early Oracle, and once Skarner gets a few kills down there, he just goes raid boss.
Yeah,
so difficult to kill that fed Skarner.
So difficult to kill him, and he just has he has that ult which will make you hate him forever. And it looks like they might be picking out Rumble to stop it from being picked out to go with the Vlad.
That's really good, because there's not many counters left to Rumble available. I mean, there's Aurelia, which actually does well versus Rumble. However, Skarner isn't really renowned for early ganking, and once Rumble hits 6, Aurelia is going to have a little bit of an issue if there was no actual sort of main point in the game where Rumble messes up and Aurelia kind of gets a free trade off and wins a trade, gets him low, sends him back to base. If Rumble and Aurelia both play the lane perfectly, Rumble will still come out on top. That's the problem.
Yeah, and it's also going to really work well with their team comp if they go for an Anivia, Rumble, and Malphite, and Sona, and Graves, actually. They all have really, really strong AoE damage. It's like they could kill your entire team. Maybe Darius pick up. Could
Darius is
be.
okay. I mean, Darius has a bunch of damage, and Rumble always has to come near to kind of trade with him. So if they do end up picking the Darius, or it could be a Nunu solo top, which
Oh
is
yeah.
probably the most annoying little bugger I've ever seen. There's very, very little you can do to a Nunu in top lane, and he just scales really, really well into late game, being a support who doesn't really rely much on items. You can pick him up.
But
You can.
Jax. So
Oh, Jack's top lane is actually really nice.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
Jack.
really. The matchup is a little bit in favor of Rumble, because they both kind of start picking up at levels 4, 5, and 6. However, Jax can properly build and get a little bit of an advantage if Malphite doesn't show himself top. It could end up really, really, really well for Jax. So I
Yeah,
think overall that was a good pick.
yeah. Jax obviously is one of those champions that scales up and up and up and up as the game goes on. And actually, yeah, you can see some pretty good synergy there with having Nunu and Jax on the same team. Actually, it's scary watching a Nunu buff Jax. But yeah, so we're going to be yeah okay. So I'm trying to look at their kind of general strategy, and it looks like MTW has a much more kind of pick focus team composition. They're going to be looking to take out, you know, one person, then go for an objective, then rather than wanting to force this AOE team fight where that Malphite, Sona Graves, Anivia, everything comes down on your entire team and kills you extremely quickly. And I think maybe it would be. I don't think we're going to be seeing any lane swaps, not in this kind of composition, because I think they'll be very happy with both lanes.
They're happy
actually.
with their lanes. I mean, Vlad
Yeah.
versus Anivia is a farm lane. Vlad can actually push Anivia out early, and he doesn't really have to worry much about Malphite ganks, because, I mean, Malphite doesn't really have the strongest 3-6 ganks, so Vlad is I think, gonna win early on against Anivia. Top lane, as I said, it's gonna be pretty much kind of passive, stagnant early on. But, Nunu and Corki will actually have a little bit of an advantage in bot lane, since they can go all in and kind of guerrilla warfare against Gravesona.
And I think we're going to go for a quick commercial break around now. So we'll see you in the actual game. All right. Hello. Welcome back to the 4PL qualifiers. And Broken Shard is having some mild technical issues at the moment, so I'll be casting solo for a minute or two. And it looks like at the moment MTW are just going to kind of spread out and keep their jungle entrances covered. They're trying to make sure that if unrestricted EU go for an invade, then they're not going to be getting in without them seeing it coming. That obviously. Also, they're shoving down a ward at Wraiths, which is going to give them a lot of vision of the jungle and should help them along if they are worried about ganks at any particular time from the Malphite. I mean, if you know where the enemy jungler is, that's really helpful. Actually,
Generally,
go ahead.
Sorry. Generally, both the Malphite and Skarner will be looking to start at their blue buff. So it's going to be an advantageous for Mamphy, who's playing Skarner, to hit top lane at level 3, since it will have Malphite have to do blue, then red, and kind of circle around back. And also, Skarner is actually considerably faster than a Malphite early on, so it's more advantageous right now for MTW if they want to do one of those early pressure ganks on top lane.
Yeah, and obviously top lane at the moment is probably one of those lanes they're going to want to snowball. I mean, like you said, Rumble versus Jax could go either way, but Rumble will usually come out on top. So, obviously, getting one kill either way could turn that around in the long run.
It looks like Malphite's going to do a little bit of an inverted jungle path. He will start at his red buff, so he can hit top at level 3 around the same time Skarner does. It's not necessarily the best path, but, you know, Malphite is very versatile. You would expect that from him, so he can actually pull that off.
Yeah. I'm wondering if maybe you've fallen slightly behind on the jump to live function. Possibly not, I don't know. But regardless, yeah. And also, we're seeing the MTW bot lane here stealing the enemy red buff, which is... It's a creative little thing you can do, actually, when you have a Nunu jungle, because he... Nunu support, because he obviously is quite tanky and can...
Early level 2 is going to put them in a really good advantage over there, actually.
He's actually getting first blood on Sona already. I mean, he literally just walked into the lane and Valkyried. And yeah, he's going to get out with the blood boil from Nunu. He's put himself a bit behind on health, but killing Sona that fast is really going to give him a huge advantage.
Just allow him to pop back, or, you know, he can stick around. He's got a lot of pots on him. And now I'm finally on the loading screen. Hallelujah. I'm following by the stream, but it's actually really good for Scotlol to get that early kill, but since gold in your bank is gold wasted, he's down health. Like, we're just looking at like the pure stats, the physical stats right here, right? He's low on HP, he's behind in pots, he has a red buff, but he's down a summoner spell. Graves has the advantage right now. Even if he is alone, he's got a little bit of an advantage over Scotlol. And I may be wrong, because...
Yeah, if it comes to like a small poking engagement like that, he can't afford to stay around and trade, so he has to run. And he can't auto-attack if he's running, so Corky obviously gets off a lot more damage. And
oh, wow.
For the burst. Yep.
That's Nunu.
Snowballing.
That's just Nunu Corky right there. They can be a kill lane, they can be a poke lane, they can just be a farm lane. That Blood Boil is probably the most versatile ability in the game. It makes the AD carry just so much scarier to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually seen it fail quite a few times. I mean, it's kind of almost become my personal pet hate. But, like, it's working really well in this case. I mean, it's just...
It's one of those lanes that can snowball. And I'm not trying to pun there because Nunu has a snowball, but it's one of those lanes that really does snowball really hard if you get a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah, and Skarner just popped in mid, actually, for a second there and forced Anivia's flash out.
Skarner ganks real terror.
They are really scary.
Not actually, pre-6, I'm not... Unless you're overextended, it's kind of like an Udyr. Skarner ganks aren't necessarily deadly, but if you're overextended, he can get that second proc of Crystal Slash. It really does make a little bit of a difference, especially Skarner is such a beast early fight. You can see him, he caught Malphite out of position, he's just going to be able to perma-slow him right there. Zorkon's going to have a little bit of trouble, but he's going to end up flashing away. Skarner really happy with that. He's just going to go back, take his wolves, and be on happily.
Yeah, he's just a... Like, if he gets on you, you're not getting away, and he's also a really strong duelist, so if you stay, you're going to die, probably. Like, it's, you know, awkward to deal with. And, yeah, he does have problems closing, but unlike Udyr, I think he has probably a better chance of closing late game, because his build allows him to build stuff like Shirelia's very
but then
easily.
so can Udyr. We can see him kind of get denied a gank in mid lane by that crystalline wall. But generally, Skarner and Udyr are similar champions in the sense that they both kind of fulfill the same role, though I think Skarner is better late game. His kit just seems to be a little bit more responsive than Udyr's kit, actually.
Yeah, he has that. I think he probably has more damage, actually, on his kit
Udyr
as
has a
well.
lot more damage than Skarner.
Oh,
And
really?
Skarner's got a lot of sustained damage, but Udyr can just... It's just so scary with a red buff in mid game. It's just ridiculous without any damage
I
items.
mean late game is what I was referring to. I mean,
In the late game, neither of them do damage. Everyone.
I'm not an expert on jungling in general. I've got to admit, actually, because if I'm in jungle, you don't want me. Yeah.
Some people would say the same about me, but I main jungler. I play that for the team Absolute Legends.
You're a 2K player, well, more than, so...
Yeah.
I'm...
Okay, we see Mamphy kind of closing in the distance on Zerx, but he's already next to his tower. And see, this is kind of what Skarner lacks at, is those early ganks, where Udyr, if you're just an Udyr, you can bear stun someone. And in mid lane, a single stun is probably like the biggest thing that you could get in the mid lane. There's a lot of reasons why Udyr is a very feared champion for mid laners. Just that flash bear stun can easily set up a kill.
Yeah,
we see Exhaust go down on Samwise in bot lane. Mamphy coming in from behind. He does not have his flash up. Red Snow going really low. Exhaust going on Mamphy. He's going to flash off to Samwise, and Samwise will go down to Scott Lol. Will they chase on to Namad? But, you know, I don't think they'll be able to get him. Yep, he'll just heal himself and put himself back under turret.
Yeah, I've got to say, actually, that bottom lane, even though they had that huge early advantage, the CS advantage has actually... They've fallen behind on CS, and I've got to wonder why that's the case. I mean, it's possible they've been too focused on zoning out Graves such that they actually end up dropping CS because they are trying to land the auto attack on Graves. I mean, obviously, they are still way ahead on gold right now because of the kills. But it's something to bear in mind, and Mamphy just stealing Udyr's Ray, doesn't care.
Well, so now Skarner is, Jax is level 6, so we can see him kind of start bullying Rumble. Rumble has been back to buy, and so has Jax. But we kind of see that there is actually CS advantage for Jax, 14 creep CS advantage. So, I mean, maybe Jax got a little bit of a lucky trade early on where Rumble was weak. Maybe he pushed the lane a little bit so he got an early level up. But it seems that Rumble is starting to fall behind.
Yeah, the thing is, Rumble isn't really going to catch up without some serious jungle pressure either. He falls off as the game, like, he really peaks in mid-game. Like, he has a lot of damage on all of his abilities in mid-game, and his ult can obviously win a team fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, like, compared to Jax, his late game just really isn't up to par. And
we can see Mamphy kind of move in here. He knows that his blue is being done. His smite is off, though. He will catch up to Zerkon. Zerx is completely out of mana, but here comes Huyu. There is a nice wall from Zerx, but this is just going to let Skarner and Huyu take this blue buff without much problem.
And that's really a large part of countering Anivia. I mean, Anivia in mid lane becomes this really difficult to deal with champion. You know, she'll just throw that shard at you, and you can't avoid her ult, basically, and she'll push it to your attack. She'll make your life a misery, basically.
And then there's Vlad. And then we have to think about there's a Vlad right there who is a mana-less champion who relies on his health and spell vamp to keep himself in lane. That E just becomes such a terrible, terrible thing to deal with come 10 minutes into the game when he's got a little bit of extra points in that. Some spell vamp to keep himself alive. It's just... He's just going to be able to farm. He's going to be difficult to gank, difficult to out-trade. He's just going to be a difficult person to deal with. He's just an annoying champion. And now since Anivia doesn't have blue buff, which is a major part of her ability to lane against these tough laners, without that blue buff, I'm just worried that Zerx is going to end up falling farther and farther behind. As we see, 35 CS on Zerx to 81 on Huyu.
It's an interesting build, actually, on Zerx at the moment. He's got a Heart of Gold. But, yeah, like you say, having that blue stolen really just changes the whole dynamic of the lane.
And since he already went for this gold pretend build, it's a problem, because usually, if you're having a hard time keeping your blue up, I would normally see an Anivia go Chalice or Tear, or both, actually. Just so they can keep themselves in lane and farm. But now, with very little mana regen, I think he doesn't even have enough to buy his Philo right now. So I think this is a very poor item choice of Zerx to pick up.
Yeah, I don't really get it either, but... I mean, obviously, if you have a lead, if you had blue buff, then he could be doing some serious bullying to Vlad. But as it is, he just doesn't have anywhere near enough mana to even outdo Vlad's spellbound. I mean, Vlad could literally sit in lane, tanking everything Anivia throws at him right now.
Kind of what we're seeing right now.
He wouldn't care.
those Qs are chunking away at his HP, getting lower and lower. Zerx is forced to back at his turret, and who you can probably push this lane to turret, making Zerx miss even more CS.
Yeah.
Right now, it looks like everything is going right for MTW. I mean, their bot lane is doing quite well. Their top lane is doing excellent. Their mid lane is doing phenomenal. Their jungler is getting really, really ahead. It could just not get better for them right now.
Yeah, I think before long they'll probably be starting to try and force a Baron. Dragon, right? Because they are so far ahead, and also because in a bot lane jungle fight, they actually probably have roughly equal AoE if it comes to that forced team fight at bot at this stage of the game, because they have Nunu and they have Vlad, and they'd have a Skarner as well. I mean, he's not really AoE, but actually,
and Corki too.
Yeah, and Corki, obviously.
We see Amphi sticking around top lane, looking to see if he can get something onto Ekix here. Though Ekix is pushed to his turret, Blaulino will stay hidden in that bush, so Ekix will start venturing forward. And there we see Amphi going in there. What a beautiful ultimate catches him as he flashes. Ekix now pops his ultimate just to try to get something down, and Blaulino will finish with an empowered auto attack. What a beautiful ult from Malfi there, catching him just as he flashed. You could see there was a little bit of delay in between when he started and ulted. I mean, most Skarners, inexperienced Skarners would just straight away pull the trigger, flash ult before they flash. But it was very intelligent of him to keep that ult for the split second when he could flash. And even if that he was flashing at the wrong time, he would flash, and then the Skarner would, not be able to use his ult. Mamphy still had his flash, so he could flash after him and pull him away. So that was a pretty much secured kill all through.
Yeah, it's just forcing your opponent to expend resources, and obviously summoner spells are just so valuable. Like without flash, particularly in top lane, which tends to be such a sort of a gank magnet, you really want to keep your flash up as much as possible, just because it lets you extend more. Rumble right now doesn't even. He's got a ward in his.
Oh, gotta cut you off there. I completely missed this while you were talking there. A little bit of a tussle going on in bot lane. They traded Scottlaw for Sona and Graves. Though Samwise was able to pick up Scottlaw, Huyu was able to pick up Sona. So it turned out much better for MTW. And Ekix is getting completely hammered by this Jax. Blaulino tower diving. Ekix trying to slow him down, ignites him. Blaulino will pick up the kill, but will pay for it with his own life.
But on the bright side for Jax, his lane is actually pushing, so it's going to hit the tower before Rumble gets back, I expect.
Absolutely, yeah.
Just, it's just a small extra cost. And
we could see in mid lane, there was a little bit of a tower dive. The flash and ult were used. Zerx was egged right after he flashed, and Huyu and Skarner were able to just pick that up very easily under the turret.
Yeah, right now, MTW are so far ahead. They have... 5,000 gold already on them, extra. If at this stage of the game, they've got, a quarter more gold, and Vlad is capable of chunking Malphite down half his health with a single EQ. That.
Yeah, when that E is stacked, of course he can do that.
Yeah, you wouldn't normally associate Malphite with being chunked to that degree.
Well, he's actually very squishy underfarmed right now. He's 0-0-0 with 65 creeps, but only 2 gold items, and he hasn't really been back to buy. So yeah, he's really squishy, and as we're talking, the Nunu goes where he pleases and picks up a kill right under the turret in the bot lane.
Yeah.
See, it's like this bot lane is just doing so much work right now.
Every single lane right now is snowballing in MTW's favor. And Malphite is also behind, so he just doesn't have the presence right now to do anything about it. They could maybe turn it around when it gets to team fighting, but right now... nearly getting killed. Had to flash out of the counter-strike there. But yeah. They do probably have a stronger teamfight composition. But right now they're so far behind, and Skarner is just going to be able to more or less dive anyone through the whole team with impunity, pull them out in any team fight he wants, and they've gotten so much single target focused damage that they could just kill him almost instantly.
Absolutely, they can kill anyone almost instantly. It's like no one is safe right now from the burst of MTW. When it comes to the burst damage, they've got the Vlad ult to amplify everything. Zerx is going to be caught out by the Nunu Empire. Red's still going to be comboed in by Malphite. Red still will go down, but Zorkon going low. Namad puts the ult down. Corgi going to go in with that blue buff. Zorkon gets chunked by that ultimate. Manphy trying to pull the win, not able to pick anyone up. And they were going to go 1-for-1 and pick up this red buff in return.
That was a really great counter initiation by Sona there, actually. I mean, if she hadn't pulled off that ult and hit every single one of them...
Oh, looks like Ekix is being caught out. Manphy gonna ult him in. Jack's gonna join in. Ooh. Everyone grouped up getting hit by that stun, but Graves coming in from behind, trying to do as much as he can. But Skarner is just too tanky. Jax will jump onto the Graves, and Vlad and Jax will take him out once and for all. Ending up for a 5-for-1 overall trade.
Yeah, and that's a free dragon if they ever
7,000 gold in the lead. The dragon is up right now. This is looking very, very bad for Unrestricted.
Unrestricted are just in such a bad place right now. I mean, that was the kind of team fight that their team composition is built to win. That was the kind of really close-up, AoE heavy, you know, that was AoE nuke build, if they ever saw it. But in spite of that, they couldn't win that team fight. They couldn't come out on top because they just are so far behind. Their damage is just nothing by comparison. I mean, triple gold for 5 on Zerx here, which is... It's going to give him a good late game, but right now, the game's looking like it might end with him.
At this second, they're in trouble. Oracle's being picked up by Skarner as well as the Shirelias. I mean, he is just an unstoppable little scorpion right now.
Yeah, he is. He hasn't popped it yet, but yeah, he's cruising right now. Like, he is kind of... I mean, honestly, you can liken a fed Skarner to a train. It's just, he's going where he wants, and you can't stop him, and he hits so hard. So
yeah, that
hard.
magic damage. If you don't build a proper defense against it, it's just gonna chunk you very, very easily. And the low cooldown too is gonna make it even more difficult to deal with.
Yeah, now he's got Shirelias as well, so he becomes that nightmare ganker where he runs into your lane. Yeah, he runs into your lane with his own speed buff, his Shirelias. He ults you, possibly flashes if he needs to, but odds are he's not going to if you're not at your tower, and then you're dead basically.
Well, actually, Corki didn't pick up his boost too early, and it's actually something I want to point out. When you have someone like Nunu, it just allows you to keep a constant... Oh, never mind, I'm just going to talk about top lane. Now, Manphy in top lane, the ult being picked up on Ekix, but he does have flash. Will he be able to flash away in time? No, he's going to be stunned. And there, he's just going to be picked up by Manphy and Jax. Wow, he didn't even flash, he knew he was dead.
Yeah, I mean, he would have remained slowed, so there wasn't much point in doing it. And like I said, that would have just been a waste of resources. But yeah, right now...
So now the Scotlol and the Red Snow combo are just doing so much work in bot lane right now. The Blood Boil, plus Trinity Force, plus a constant Phage procs and Snowball. It's just keeping the enemies exactly where they want him. And we see Huyu kind of diving Zerx here. He will flash away, but Huyu just ghosts after him. Does the egg form on Zerx? Yes, the egg is up, but look at the damage coming out of him right now. An E and a Q is half of his HP, a Q is a quarter of his HP. It's just ridiculous amounts of damage coming out now. And at the same time, Namad is able to pick up a kill. Unfortunately for Redstone, he has his oracles being popped, so if he drops down, this could be really bad. Oh, but he's just going to flash over that wall without any problem.
Yeah, and actually, by the way, up top, Malphite was dived as well, which, yeah, there was more or less
Scumbag MTW getting kills at the same time, so we can't cover it all. Like, come on.
It's nigh on impossible, honestly. I think we may have some serious difficulties here, but I mean, yeah, I'm glad I'm not in this game, but right now it looks like Unrestricted are just going to be trying to quickly force down bottom tower. No, they're not. They're too scared. Yeah,
the terrors of the shadows.
Honestly,
and now we see Skarner.
They don't want any of their lanes to continue because they're just going to get worse and worse as time goes on. They need to force down some towers.
You know, speaking of which, Skarner just sneaking around with his mobility boots is going to pull Zerk straight away into the clutches of Huyu. The wall cuts away Huyu, but Skarner, with his perma-slow, will pick up Zerx on his own. And
yeah,
just popped out of nowhere. It's like Skarner out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah,
it's so scary to deal with.
Skarner. Oh, and blue just popped up for him. How convenient.
I call this build the Blitzkrieg. Can't really escape mobility boots, crystalline exoskeleton, the W of Skarner and Shirelias. I mean, what are you gonna do? You can't outrun that. Nothing can outrun that.
Yeah.
And the potential blood bow from Nunu too.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really, really nasty right now for Unrestricted. What can they do? Honestly.
Nothing, because the AoE from Corki and Vlad is just shredding them completely. Did you see the perfect positioning from the Gatling gun and
there's a surrender.
phosphorus bomb, and there's a surrender, and wow, it's just 4-22, 13,000 gold lead. Well played, MTW.
Every lane snowballed there. That was just so hard for them to deal with.
Speaking of snowballs, how about that Nunu?
Yeah.
Now, there was really not much and Unrestricted could do, and there's really nothing MTW did wrong in that game. They pushed forward in every lane, got that early advantage with that early red buff, picked up an early kill, and it just from there, it just did not end well for them at all.
They never even got to use their team composition, basically. There was one fight they could maybe use it in, and it was already over by that point.
Such a shame, though. I would look forward for some really big 5v5 team fights right there with that comp.
Yep. Oh well. But I think we'll be taking a quick commercial break now, and we'll probably see you in the next game anyway. So.